It's the Billy Graham Boxing Podcast, The Preacher's Sermons.
Right, Billy, we're back after our summer break, episode 4 of Billy Graham's Boxing Podcast. How are things?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah. Now, it's been a bit of a weird time for boxing, and I know you weren't sure how all this behind closed door stuff had pan out in the end, but was it better than you expected?
It was better than I expected, really. I didn't realise how it was going to be. I couldn't get my head around it. You know what I mean? I thought probably thought it was a non-starter. But the fights I've watched, there's been some good fights. And it's better for me when there's no sound because I can hear the shots, and I can read the fight better because I'm used to having my head on the canvas. You know, what I really dislike is when they put that false crowd on, that false crowd noise. For fuck's sake, that's ridiculous.
Makes no sense, does it? The whole thing's built about there being no crowd, so why do we bother putting crowd noise?
It makes no sense whatsoever. And I'm actually glad that that you can kind of hear the sound of the shots because...
why do you think they put the fake crowd noise
on? Possibly, I think that somebody... is saying that we don't want to wear the cornerman swearing. I think that's the big thing. I mean, that's almost as bad. It's almost as bad as that ridiculous rule what they had when you couldn't speak from the corner, you couldn't give your fighter any advice from the corner. What was all that about? You couldn't give advice from the corner. Anybody in the audience could shout anything they want. You can't say anything in the corner. Yeah. That was ridiculous. And I think that the way they go on about swearing in the corner, okay, you try not to swear, trust me, you try not to swear. But you're in a drastic situation. You know what I mean? Your nerves you're going a million miles an hour. You're in all kinds of drama. You know what I mean? You talk to the guy like you talk to each other in the gym. Yeah. That's just normal, it's just natural. And you know, something as brutal and barbaric as boxing, which they put on the television at any time. It's not after a watershed or anything like that. You can watch boxing at any time. People are sometimes literally killing each other. And they're going on about swearing. So I think it was probably that. I can't think of any other reason why it wasn't. Yeah.
The biggest talking point from all the 8 or 9 weeks we've had so far, it's Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin, Billy. Now, we're not going to go over the fight because it's a few weeks ago now. But, Billy, is there any such thing as a lucky punch?
I suppose there's such thing as a lucky punch. You know, someone could be in a desperate situation, they shut their eyes and just sling something from a mile out, a mile away, and it lands. So, answer your question, yeah, there is a lucky punch, but it's used way too often. Way too often. It's very rare there's a lucky punch. Very rare.
And I personally think Alexander Povetkin, that was the complete opposite of a lucky punch.
That was definitely. I mean, I actually feel sorry for Dillian Whyte. I really do. I like Dillian Whyte. He'll fight anybody. But that was not a lucky punch. He got himself in the perfect position, landed the perfect shot. It was thought out, it was planned out in milliseconds, like, you know what I mean? But it was planned and it was delivered, it was perfect, and it was beautiful.
Oh, it was beautiful to watch. He'd been setting it up straight from the start, from the get-go. He was working the body, coming back, leaning over, digging that left hook to the body. White's elbow comes down, he just comes up the middle. It's one of the best one-punch shots I've seen for a long time.
Me too. Povetkin's always been one of my favourite heavyweights to watch in recent years. I've seen him since the amateurs and that, and I've always been a huge fan of Povetkin. I love the way he gets in the right distance, gets his feet in the right positions, delivers shots, all kinds of shots with perfect leverages, timing. I really like to watch him. He's a great technician. But I think he should retire on that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. He won't though.
He won't though. No, he won't though. I mean, he must have loads of money. He's a hero where he lives. He's 41. It was obvious to me that he's well past it. By the way he moves, by the way he wasn't getting himself in distance, the shots won't be delivered as good. His reactions aren't as quick. His balance isn't the same anymore. But he still had that one great shot in him.
Yeah.
You know, he's still probably got that. But I think, like I say, he's made plenty of money. He's not going to get any better. I think he should go out on that note. I think he should go out on that punch and ride off into the sunset.
This lucky punch thing, it gets thrown about around the heavyweight division in particular, doesn't it? I know you feel strongly about it. I just think it's purely because the guys hit harder. The punches have more effect. You know, there is more likely to be a one-punch turnaround in the heavyweight division, isn't there? That's my opinion.
There is, but I'm not so sure. Look, I know how these big guys hit. Not all big heavyweights are punchers. No. There's very few what can punch the weight. They're huge, you know what I mean? And I've seen just as deadly punches in every weight division, and continuously. I've seen it. It goes on all the time, but they always say it only happens in the heavyweight division. Do you know what I mean? I think that's more like maybe some of the heavyweights haven't got so good a chins as the other guys. Yeah. That's what I think it might be more. That makes more sense to me. I've seen plenty of one-shot finishes in every weight division.
Yeah, look at, I'm just thinking here off the top of my head, perfect example, look at Errol Graham against Julian Jackson.
Well, yeah, and was that a lucky punch?
That wasn't a lucky punch either, was it? And a much lower weight class. And
that happens, it happens all the time, but, you know, I know the heavyweights are always banging each other out, but I think that's maybe a little bit like what I just said. Not just like they're all massive punchers, because they're not all massive punchers.
Something else I've noticed from watching these fights, we had it with Zelfa Barrett against Eric Donovan, we had it with Povetkin and White, where one guy gets off to a good start, gets a lead, and then the other fighter finds a way to finish the fight. They seem to get very little credit. All the credit seems to go...
For the guy who had him in trouble?
Yeah. He was winning until... That to me just totally misses the point that the other guy was good enough, brave enough and composed enough to find a way to win and find a way to turn the fight around. Yeah,
that's what... If you're winning comfortably handling the guy, the thing is to not get complacent. Yeah. But if you're the one who's on the receiving end and you can come back and find a way to win, especially to pick a shot and knock somebody out, that takes a lot of doing. Yeah. That's what I get impressed with. I get impressed with stuff like that. When you can get yourself out of a bad situation, that's what takes a... Well, we're going to talk about something like that later, but to get yourself out of a bad situation, that's a mark of a good fighter.
Yeah, it takes character, doesn't it? We've also seen
skill.
Daniel Dubois and Joyce have both fought, pretty comfortable stuff. Joe took a few punches, but people make a little bit.
Yeah, I was still impressed with him though. I was still quite impressed with him.
Yeah, they both did what they do, didn't they? Daniel blew somebody away, and Joe walked through somebody. They both did exactly what we know they can do.
That's
and now
right.
It's the perfect fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they had that much in front of it. Either the guys had that much in front of them, but they both done the jobs well. I like both guys. Joyce done his job well, and Daniel Dubois did his job well.
It's the perfect fight for them both because each guy seems to be the other's kryptonite. You know, if Joe can walk through Daniel's jab and power, we're going to see Daniel's stamina and heart tested, aren't we? And we've got to see if Joe's clever enough to move his head to get past the jab, and whether he's got the chin to stand up to some bombs. They're both going to answer questions, aren't they?
Well, they're both going to land shots, that's for sure. I think the big thing in this fight is like Joyce has to move forward. That's how he works. Joyce has to move forward. Therefore, it's Daniel's job to back Joyce up. He has to back him up. Joyce might take a bit of backing up. You know what I mean? There's always ways, though. There's always ways. Yeah. I think the key to the fight for Dubois is that he gets Joyce on the back foot as soon as possible. I'd advise him to pick some nice singles body shots, singles vital areas. You know, I'd advise him to do that. Get him on the back foot as soon as possible. if he can only take the centre at first, maybe just take the centre of the ring first, try and control the centre. But the thing is, he's got to back Joyce up. And well, Joyce has not got to allow that to happen. So that's why it's going to be fascinating.
It is. Right, it's the end of part 1. Part 2, we're going to go back to the year 2000. I'm going to take you to Detroit with Ricky Hatton. Okay, Billy, the last time we spoke about Ricky Hatton, we spoke about the Tommy Peacock fight when he became the area champion and really exploded onto the scene. We're going to talk about another fight that's long forgotten, really doesn't get much appreciation, but he played a big part in creating the Hitman. With 12 months after he's beaten Tommy Peacock, widely regarded now as the brightest prospect in Britain, he's getting showcases on Mike Tyson cards. How do you end up fighting a 6-foot-tall knockout puncher from Costa Rica called Gilbert Quiros down an undercard in Detroit? How does that happen?
Well, I don't know who picked him, but I'd like to knock him out. These different stages of Ricky's career, like as in all fighters, what stand out in your mind, and like different points when you know. When it really impresses you, something when it's really important, like the Eamon McGee fight, for instance, the Tommy Peacock fight, for instance, you know what I mean? Ben Take, Oliveira, when you're ready for this and when you're ready for that. I was always convinced how good Ricky was going to be from being a kid. We've gone through all that. His first real test was Tommy Peacock. He conquered that with flying colours. The second big test was Gilbert Quiros. I didn't know him, we'd never heard of him, we had no tapes of him or anything like that, you know, all I had was his record on paper. But the record on paper was quite informational because it was like sometimes in American records, it's all KO, 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 but that could be, it might have been stopped on a cut eye, or it might have been just stopped, the referee stopped it, you know what I mean? But this one particular, it was...
The method of victory.
Yeah, the method of victory, yeah. So it was clean knockouts, you know. So I looked at this, and so you can make a lot, you can learn a lot by that. This guy had a lot of early knockouts, clean KOs, you know what I mean? He'd knocked the vast majority of the people out. He was incredibly tall.
Yeah, he's nearly 6 foot tall.
Yeah, our he had to be, yeah. So that gave me real warning signs already. As soon as I got him, I had the record and that.
Well, when did you get this piece of paper with this record on? Were you still in England or were you in America?
No, I was in England, but it would only been just before we left. It was only like really quickly.
Yeah, days before.
It was only quickly, yeah. So I checked him out, whatever I could check out on that, and we was told that we'll be meeting a guy in Detroit who will tell us all about him. We asked this guy about him, and he's supposed to be this great expert who's going to give us all the inside information. He just went into a boxer who likes to fight. Me and Ricky looked at each other. He just thought, fuck this, you know what I mean? But as importantly, Ricky wasn't right for this fight. He'd messed up on the weight, you know what I mean? And with him being busy all the time, that didn't really happen. But it happened this time. It was probably the first time I got in touch with Kerry Kay's only on the telephone to say I was having problems, real problems, you know. But it was really too late to be able to do anything, you know what I mean? It was too late in the day, so Ricky Hatton was in a terrible mood. Like, he's usually happy going to the fights around fight time, and that is usually, he was happy, handles it really well, you know. This time he wasn't right, and I knew he wasn't right.
Does this go back to before you jumped on the aeroplane?
As soon as I got in the car with Ricky and his dad, I could tell then, I go, what's up with you? And he'd obviously been arguing with his dad because his dad, something like the weight of the luggage and all that lot, he couldn't take both. He couldn't take the scales and the belt, so his dad took the belt when Ricky wanted to take the scales for obvious reasons. So right from the first meeting, as we were about to go to the airport, he wasn't right. He was angry. When you miss the weight properly, you're not doing the weight right, and you've got to, and then that makes you even more angry. So it wasn't ideal at all, and I was worried about this opponent, you know. Tall punches are always very difficult for a short guy. You know? Well, for any guy.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of tall, skinny guys who can hit, you know, because it's not just brute strength. So I was quite worried about this fight. You know what I mean?
It's the type of fight that just doesn't happen anymore. You know, lots of British guys go over to America on undercards these days, but they're not the best prospects in the country fighting somebody who can turn your lights off with one shot.
Yeah.
It's the type of fight which just doesn't happen these
No,
days.
No, it shouldn't have happened, to be honest with you. But like I'm trying to explain here, the fact that it did happen, not that I needed any convincing anyway, that Ricky was going to go right to the top. I didn't need any convincing, I believe that. But after this fight, I really knew, you know what I mean? When you see a fight come through adversity, it gives you more confidence than just seeing somebody who just wipe somebody out or something like that, like to see him come through the Eamon McGee fight, for example, later on. But this fight at this time was one of the most important nights of my career with Ricky Hatton, without a doubt. It's massive in my mind, you know what I mean? It was, I really went, you know, he is going to go all the way. You know what I mean?
We'll get on to the fight in a little bit, but you're in Detroit. Where's the one place you go in Detroit? The most famous boxing place in Detroit? It's the Kronk Gym.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
I believe as part of all the pre-fight hoopla, because it was an Astelino Freitas world title fight.
That's right.
There was a bit of a workout at the Kronk, wasn't there, Billy?
It was, look, you can't go to Detroit without visiting the Kronk, you know. Yeah, it was fantastic. We went to the Kronk for two reasons. One, to have like I say, Ricky was having problems with the weight, you know what I mean. But he got down to the weight, but meant that he couldn't do much work. Are you with me? So I just wanted to take him round and loosen him up a little bit, you know. That's all. But the main reason what's going on because I knew that Quiros was going to be there.
Yeah. This wasn't an open workout, was it? Like they do for the press these days.
No,
this was just
wasn't an open
you going.
Wasn't an open workout. No, it wasn't. No, it's just we all had an opportunity to go to the Kronk to, you know, loosen up and all that, like, you know. So I knew Quiros was going to be there because I didn't really have to go, Ricky. I didn't need Ricky to do any work. You know what I mean? Especially being troubling with the weight. The last thing I wanted to do is start working balls off him. You know what I mean? But I knew Quiros was going, so I needed to go to see Quiros. So we goes down. We're going down in the car. Ray Hatton, Mick Williamson, and Ricky. Ray Hatton, you'd thought we was going to the gallows. You know what I mean? I was extremely excited because I wanted to show Ricky off. I know I was only going to give him a quick blast, but I wanted to show Ricky off. You know what I mean? And I could see that the panic, and Ricky was cool as a cucumber as well. You know what I mean? And I went, Ray, he was going, you know, there's going to be all these fucking great fighters in this gym and all that lot. You know, I went, I'm going to tell you now. I said, there's not going to be any kid, anything like Ricky's age, who's anywhere near as good as him in this fucking gym. I said, I'm going to tell you that now. I said, we will take the Kronk by storm. You know what I mean? I was really mad for it, you hear me? So, yeah, we gets down there and that, and...
What did you think when you pulled up? Because it's not in the greatest part of town, is it? It's not, there's no red carpet rolled out for you at the Kronk. This is as spit and sawdust as it gets, isn't it?
It looked like, it's a big building. It looked like a school.
Yeah,
it looked
like a rec
old,
centre almost.
Looked like an old school. Don't know whether it was, you know. Maybe it might have been, because that's what it looked like, an old school, like you see in England and that, you know. And so he goes in. I'd forgot most of my kit.
How the fuck do you forget your kit when you go into the Kronk purely to do a workout?
I don't know, I just left all my other kit in from the day before. I hadn't changed it, you know what I mean? T-shirt was absolutely soaking wet and all that lot. I couldn't find my jockstrap, and all I was this pair of these cycling shorts. They looked ridiculous, do you know what I mean? So we get to the gym and that, and it wasn't all full of famous fighters, it was just everybody else. I didn't know anybody there. The only person I knew was there was Tom Boom Boom Johnson.
Yeah.
You know, featherweight. Yeah. Yeah, I got a cool conversation with him, but didn't know one of the other guys, and we goes in and
Were they friendly to you?
no, not at first, no, not at all. I think they was trying to intimidate us.
Yeah, you got to earn your respect in the Kronk, don't you?
Well, yeah, and it's great to be in the Kronk. Look, the fighters the Kronk has produced, some of my favourite fighters have come from the Kronk. You know what I mean? And but if you're asking me, was I overawed? Absolutely no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wanted to show Ricky off, but I knew I wasn't going to do much with him. Anyway, so I'm stood on this treadmill. It wasn't worth $2. I don't think it even works. I'm leaning on this treadmill, and some young kid comes up to me, some young little fighter that comes up to me and give me a right bollocking, you know, to stop, you know, because I was leaning on the treadmill. He's lucky to knock his teeth out, to be honest with you. He was very arrogant, and so anyway, so I had a look at Queiroz, and all my worst fears was all proved right. You know what I mean? I looked at him from the floor, his feet. He was getting everything in his shots. He was a proper puncher. Are you met? He was really tall, a lot taller than me. Jab was great. Right hand was great. The hooks was everything. You know what I mean? You could see he was coming from the floor, getting leverage into the proper shot. So I knew he was a proper banger. So I thought to myself, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give Ricky one round on the body belt. All the guys was laughing at the body belt when they see me putting it on. You know, the Kronk guys, and there's all round the ring.
All surrounding the ring.
All surrounding the ring and all that, like shouting things and all that. Like, you know
with
you
and you in your cycling
me
shorts
with
and all
cycling
t-shirts.
shorts on, yeah.
And little pale Ricky.
And Ricky looked white as a sheet. Looked even whiter in there, and yeah, like a young kid. So I said, listen, we knew we couldn't do much. I said, I want to discourage this guy, you know, Queiroz. I want to discourage him from coming forward. I want him to run. I want him to move away. I don't want him to come forward. I want him to back off. So I said, so we're going to give you one round. I said, but one round, you're going to go through the lot. You know what I mean?
Full repertoire.
The full repertoire. Shifting out to the side, coming up to the head, hooking to the head, uppercuts, body shots, everything, going out the lot. I said, we're just going to give you just the one round. That's it. Because that's all you fucking got anyway. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to discourage him.
Did Queiroz hang around to watch you?
Yeah. But he was still on the bag, but he just stopped.
Yeah, watching out the corner of his eye.
Yeah, because I was watching him out the corner of my eye. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Ricky comes out and starts going through the old repertoire. You know what I mean? But I think maybe it might have been a bit too much. I don't know, because he backed me to the ropes. He backed me to the ropes and then really went to town on me and that. You know what I mean? And the kids was all whoa and wow and all that, like everything. You know what I mean? And they were just stopped. And they was all just saying to the trainers, we want one of them, we want one of them. You know,
they all wanted a body belt.
They all wanted a body belt, and they all completely changed with us then. Totally different. They all thought Ricky was the best thing they'd ever seen. You know what I mean? They all became Ricky Hatton fans just in that one round, and they all turned up for the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I might have done it a bit, you know, but Queiroz, when he took me to the ropes, I think Queiroz might have thought, fucking hell, I don't want to be on them ropes. So anyway, I wanted to fear him so he'd move away, but it didn't work.
No, God. What a fight. It's a short fight, but that's edge of your seat pants, edge of your seat stuff, isn't it? Seat your pants, edge of your seat, whichever you want to say. And my memories of that, I vividly remember watching it. A strange sort of setting. It's almost like a theatre with a very small crowd there, wasn't there? A bit of a funny atmosphere. And Ricky was on early in the night and in this horrendous fight with a big puncher live on Sky. Just talk through the fight, how that went, Billy, because you say your worst fears were confirmed.
My worst fears was confirmed when I seen him in the gym. But he come out really purposeful. I'd already told Ricky that, you know, you got to back this guy up, try and take away his leverages, because I could tell Bally was working on the bag that he liked to come forward anyway. I could tell he liked to come forward. He was more on shadow. He was more comfortable coming forward with his explosive power, and he had every shot in the book as well. By the way, you know what I mean.
So just let people know his record. You know, this isn't just some journeyman. This is a pretty young kid who was 11 wins, a couple of losses, 10 knockouts, 10 clean knockouts. You know, he's not just some character who loses as many as he wins, but he can punch.
No.
This was a winning fighter who was ambitious.
A winning fighter and a fighter who can box.
Yeah.
As you see if you watch the fight. Now this is the fight when I really knew, because I knew that he had the minerals, he had the balls. Do you know what I mean? Because what he did that night, Ricky Hatton was really pissed off, even when the fight just ended. He wasn't happy. He really wasn't happy. But I think now, if you ask him, it was probably one of his best performances, one of his greatest performances. Without a shadow of doubt, one of his greatest performances, because everything went wrong. He comes out, he starts to try and back Ricky up, you know, try to take the centre and to back him up. And he had a great jab, but Ricky likes to work up people's jabs, you know what I mean? I love people to throw punches at Ricky because he's an aggressive counter puncher. But he was getting through with uppercuts, long right hands, and then we got a horrendous cut.
Yeah. This is all within the first.
This is all
minute, 90 seconds.
This is all right away, and the cut was a real bad one, real bad, in a bad position, and not only that, the eye was swelling as well right away. And Ricky, and then I knew he was shook up. I knew he was shook up to the head. Yeah, I knew he was shook up to the head, and I couldn't believe how he was keeping his balance and keeping it together and slipping, sliding, because I knew he'd just been stunned. Are you with me? And then he got winded as well, and I knew that. But he really was. The layman, the casual person, wouldn't have even noticed that, I don't think. But I was amazing how he was keeping it together. Are you with me? Because I knew he was winded as well. And he quit us one round, and he won it with proper shots, good solid shots, not swings, not just clubbing, get lucky shots and things like that, you know.
There's disaster looming in there.
Oh,
so he
sits
on his stool. He's
real disaster.
You know he's been hurt to a body.
I know. He come back to the stool, and as soon as he sat on the stool, he went, "I've got double vision." Fucking hell! I've had double vision. I actually got it in the first round in my first pro fight. But I got it right just before the bell, and it cleared just before the bell to go out for the second round. I couldn't see out of it, but I had the double vision had gone. So he said, "I've got double vision," and I told her that my fights, I always told him to tell me the truth. I thought, yeah, wow, yes. So he went, I've been winded as well. I said, "Do you think I don't fucking know that?" So this is what impressed me with him, right?
But the cut was fight ending as well.
Oh, the cut was fight ending. Ricky reckons that the ref come up and said, "I'll give you one more round." I can't remember him actually saying that, but he had that look on his face at least. Look, it won't going to last.
Yeah.
It was a 12 rounder as well, an intercontinental title fight. There's no way he could have gone on much longer with that cut. So, and this is the part. This is what impresses me, and this is why he should be really proud of himself. He was pissed off on the night, you know what I mean. But I'm sure when he looks back, he should be proud of himself, because I always say you have to ask sometimes. You got to tell you the truth, because sometimes you got to ask them to do unnatural things. Yeah. Now, right, he's hurt, and the eye was sore as well, and it troubled him after the fight and all. You know what I mean? It was in agony for a while after the fight. The eye was closing. The cut was horrendous. Like I say, he'd been winded. Oh, they had a double vision. I went, is it cleared now? He went, not yet. Then it cleared before the start of the second round anyway. I said, is it cleared now? He went, yeah, it's cleared now. So can you imagine the fear, the situation what he's in? He's got double vision. He doesn't know when it's going to clear. He's got a horrendous cut on his eye. He's been hurt to the body and he's been hurt to the head. And it's the first round. So the natural instincts of any human being or animal is when you're getting tore up like that, is to get away with it for a little bit, you know what I mean? And, you know, I think it takes only the real cream of the crop, a real seasoned, battle-hardened, world-class fighter who could have handled that situation like he did.
Yeah.
Not some kid who was 21 years old, I've never been hurt like that before in his life.
Yeah.
It takes a real battle-hardened, seasoned fighter to be able to handle it like that, and which he wasn't. So I said to him, listen, Ricky, you know, I can't remember everything word for word now, but I emphasised, listen, you've got to back this kid up. He's dangerous. You cannot let this kid come forward, you know what I mean? He's trying to take you out. The cut's bad, you know what I mean? You've got to do him, you know what I mean? I said, you've got to take it to him. You cannot let him back you up. So that's an unnatural thing to do, because he's got to walk into the fire again, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He's got to walk into the fucking hurricane. Didn't say anything, nothing like that. We gets up for the second round, and there was a bit of a pause in the action or something. The ref had to, took about 10 seconds or something, 5, 6 seconds for the round to get going, because Ricky was choking at the bit, you know what I mean? I knew he was going to, it was all or nothing, you hear me? And he just took it right to him, this murderous puncher, you know what I mean, in a terrible state. Didn't question it, didn't moan, didn't say anything at all. Just went right out, took it right to him, backed him up, finally found a clean body shot, then another body shot, then he backed him on the ropes, you know, he just broke him in half with a body shot and knocked him out. And that's when I was gutted because he'd been cut, because I knew he'd be out for a while. I knew Ricky wasn't in a good mood anyway, you know what I mean? But I was like so proud of him that night. And he just really made me more, if he didn't need telling, it, you know, made me more that he's got the lot.
Would you say that's the most important 5 minutes of his career, that?
Without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely, definitely, you got it right, the most important 5 minutes of his career.
Yeah, if you've never seen it, because not many people have, people who are coming to Ricky late tend to watch the big fights, don't they? But look it up, it's on YouTube, Ricky Hatton and Gilbert Kiros.
But at ringside, I'm telling you.
Fantastic fight.
At ringside, I can tell you could hear the shots crashing in of both of them, who was both at each other hard, you know what I mean? Yeah. And this guy was getting him with uppercuts, hooks, straight shots, jabs, body punches, and every one of them was solid, you know what I mean? I knew what he was going through.
Yeah, when you got to the dressing room afterwards, was there like a collective feeling that you dodged a bullet?
Well, it was me who knew to dodge the bullet. There was a bit of something on it just. It was me, Mick, Frank, and I was just so relieved that it was over. You know what I mean? I was it just happened. Just like it was just an unbelievable feeling, like what I've just gone through. You know, what I'd watched him just go through. You know, I think Frank said something like, "Bend your knees" or something like that. I went, Frank, I would never have ever asked him to bend his knees in his fucking life. I said, I'm probably the only other person in here who's had double vision. I said, the guy was winded. He was stunned to the head. He had double vision, a massive cut, and he performed like that in the second round. I was over the moon with the performance. The last thing he needed was somebody saying what he should have done and what he should have done, this, that. Nobody, even the greatest world champions. He would have took the greatest world champions who was active at that time to deal with a situation like he dealt with at 21 years of age.
Brilliant. Well, there we are. That's the latest part in the Ricky Hatton Chronicles. We'll move on a few weeks' time now. I think we'll get to John Thaxton next, Billy. Another day when he had to deal with a horrendous cut. So that's coming up in a few weeks. But part 3 is coming up next, and we've got some of your questions. Well, while we've been away, the questions have still been coming in. We get a lot of them, so keep sending them in to preacherspod@gmail.com. You send them on Twitter, which a lot of you seem to be doing. That's @preacherspod. Or just get in touch with me, those of you that know me. We've had quite a few sent in this time. We're going to start off with one from Jazza Dickens, a big fan of the show. Little Jazza. He's got a big fight coming up with Ryan Walsh in a few weeks.
Good little fighter. So's Ryan Walsh.
Yeah, it's a good fight, that.
Yeah.
Stop your pestering now, Jazza, because I'm going to ask you a question. Which of the fighters you worked with do you feel didn't achieve what they should have done?
Wow. Not really thought of that. A lot of fighters underachieve, more underachieve than overachieve, that's for sure. A lot of talented kids don't quite make it, but any of mine, let me think. Probably a couple. I think Mark Haslam. I hold out for Mark. Chris Barnett, I hoped for him. I don't think either of them fighters achieved what they could have. Because they didn't have the full career with me. They went separate ways. You know what I mean? One, this might surprise you, to be honest with you, because he had a very successful career and made plenty of money. I fought a lot of good guys. I think I take a bit of blame for that, to be honest with you, how we split up. Because we split up, I'll tell you that again in a minute. Is Paul Smith.
Yeah.
I think Paul Smith was a tremendous puncher from both sides. Great boxer. Could have been. Good chin. Handled himself really well before fights. You know, kept his nerve and that before fights. And great kid, lovely kid as well. Great to be around, fun to be around. I really thought the world of him. I think he could have been knocking people out at world level, to be honest with you, not just at the lower level. But I take a lot of the blame for that, because he just caught me in a real bad time, in a real bad mood, and at a real bad time when I had to put up with when the lunatics had finally taken over the asylum. They was driving me crazy. Loads of times maybe I wanted to quit and that, you know what I mean? And I wish I wouldn't have done it now. I really wish I wouldn't have done it, but we got into something. And I says, you know, Paul, if I want it a bit more than you, you know, maybe he was not doing the weight right, and not missing weight sessions with Kerry K's and things like that. And it just was on a bad day and that. And anyway, we parted company. An actual fact that he was doing great. I'm not blaming anybody else, by the way. Any other coaches and anything like that, but we was doing great together. And you could teach him a lot of stuff, a lot of sneaky stuff and things like that. You could teach him all that stuff, and I was in the process of teaching him all that. And I think he could have been an even better fighter than what I've become. And I think he would have knocked out people at world level, the same as he was knocking them out at the other levels. If he just set him up a little bit, little sneaky things to set him up a little bit, which he was capable of doing, because we was doing it on the pads and that. So I'd probably have to say him.
Andy Patterson, who's got a podcast of his own, Boxing Asylum. Similar question, but he's added, did any fighter you trained overachieve? Was there someone who got it done on effort and determination rather than their ability?
Well, there's a few who got it done because of the will and desire and that. You know, you could say that. Well, no fighter really gets there if he hasn't got the will or desire. It's hard to say if somebody has overachieved. I couldn't really answer that one.
No,
I'm trying.
You've stumped him. If a name comes to you, just shout it out.
I will do.
I've lost your name, whoever sent this in, but you'll know who you are. If you had to take the attributes from all the fighters you've ever trained to create the perfect guy, how would it be? So, the best jab, the smartest boxing brain, the most powerful. So, go on, we'll start head to toe. So, who do you think of the kids you looked after, who do you think had the best boxing brain?
Best boxing brain, Ricky Hatton.
Ricky Hatton. Chin.
Oh, there's a lot of my fight that they all had good chins. Peter Judson, granite chin.
We're going to talk about Peter Judson one day.
Oh, without a doubt, Peter Judson. Peter Judson was one of my favourites. He had a granite chin. Frank Grant had a granite chin.
We'll stick with Judson.
Judson was as tough as teak. He was as tough as teak.
The best jab.
Oh, the best jab. I didn't think he was the best jab. They all had good jabs. I'm trying to think of one outstanding. Most of my fighters was pretty good all rounders. You know, some had spectacular. I mean, the most spectacular I think was Ensley Bingham's one-shot left hook.
Yeah, we're going to say left hook was an easy choice, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the only easy choice you've given me. I'd have to think. I won't not say it. I'm just trying to think. Without a doubt, the best left hook, pound for pound, in the gym was Ensley Bingham. It was unbelievable. It would knock out any fighter. If he got you clean, if he got you perfect, you're going to sleep, no matter who you are. It used to be as good to the body. It was better to the body at one point. But people used to run away from Bingo, so we had to alter his style a little bit. The left hook to the head became better. The left hook to the body became just a little bit less, you know. But we just used to have his old fight. The old fight would be geared round moving somebody onto that left hook.
How about footwork?
You're asking me some really hard ones now.
That's what we want. We want you tested.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just trying to think of somebody who had outstanding footwork, because most of them had good footwork. You know, all ballet dancers and that. You know, some of them wasn't great movers, but I don't think I've really had fighters who were kind of cumbersome. I'm just trying to think of someone who stands out with the best footwork. Probably me.
There you go. Adam Batley, a young coach, he's starting out with amateurs. He's asked, is there any books you'd recommend a young coach reads? But you think reading's important for fighters themselves, don't you?
I think it's massively important. I mean, look, I suppose it's different now, because they don't think they read books, do they? They read everything off the computer, don't they?
Yeah.
Do they? Well, it's the same anyway.
It's the modern way, isn't it?
That's the modern way. I'd encourage any fighter. I've always read. Do you know what I mean? All my life. I find it really enjoyable, but I think it's necessary for me as a coach, without a shadow of a doubt, to read books. Read books about famous fighters, what they say, you know. And there's some very good writers who are good themselves. Do you know what I mean? Who are really good, even though they're not trainers. But I can't think of say what any one particular good book. Read as much as you can, especially if you're a coach. You know, not just read about other coaches. Read about. I think it's it's obviously not essential, because most of the times when I said, "Do you read?" Because if I get a young fighter come in, I generally always say, "Do you read?" Most said no, not really, and I was disappointed. But some did read, so I think it's. But as for us, I wish you'd had more warning about these questions, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've read so many books about boxing, and I've enjoyed so many and that, you know. And I can't think of one what's the best. As soon as you've gone, I'll start thinking of loads of them.
Well, we'll stick them. We can put them on the internet, can't we? We can tell the internet what
Yeah,
books
sure.
Billy Graham recommends.
Yeah, sure.
If you think later on.
I've got these because there's so many to recommend, and I've got loads of great favourite writers and things like that. You know what I mean? I know that this is not original, but the Scotch guy. What's the Scotch guy called? Fantastic.
That's not narrowed it down very much, has it?
No,
Jesus. Billy Connolly.
No, the Scotch author.
Rapsy Nesbitt.
Oh, come on. He's absolutely beautiful. He's dead now. He died not long ago. Come on.
We'll come back to it, Adam. But yeah, it's important to read.
I can't believe I told you I'm always forgetting people's names. How have I forgot his name? You're going to have to rewind this. You're going to have to rewind this. I can't.
We'll put it out. We'll put it out. Don't worry. And the last one for today, Luke Pearce. I don't know if Luke's been matched with someone. I don't know if he's got his eye on someone. But he's asking the best way to deal with a tall, hard-hitting southpaw. And he's gone into a little bit of detail, so I assume he knows a little bit more about this lad. He said he's an explosive fighter early. He moves in and out like an amateur, throws plenty of hooks, and has got a piston-like left hand. How would you go about that one, Billy?
Well, for me, to be honest with you, that's a great question. Because I was just describe that fighter. It's everyone's nightmare.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And anybody who says different is lying or mistaken. They've, especially in the amateurs, only Hugh McIlvenny. Hugh McIlvenny,
yeah. There we go.
How could you forget Hugh McIlvenny? Absolutely unbelievable reading. Everything. He's absolutely fantastic. He's my hero. Yeah, that's kind of like the worst opponent you imaginable, especially in a short fight. I'd say big things first, and the main thing, you've got to move him around the right way. Do you know what I mean? You want to go to your left. You feel comfortable going to your left. You're an orthodox fighter, so you've got to move him. I know it's old school, but I don't give a fuck. It doesn't change. You can't reinvent the wheel. He's not as comfortable moving around the other way. So the start is to get him moving around in the wrong direction. The wrong direction for him. While you're still moving to your left. That's the first thing you've got to do. Then simple. Single shots. Don't try anything too adventurous at first. You're going to have to ease your way into this. You know what I mean? The longer the fight you've got, the better. Because if he's very tall, possibly isn't quite as strong as somebody who's shorter. You know what I mean? Might not go the distance quite so you can take away from him by catching him with singles and that. Don't get too adventurous. Keep it on him, but the main thing is moving him in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's the starting point.
That's the starting point.
I imagine you like a straight right hand to the body as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Straight right hand to the body. You can get a lot of power in it. Quite easy to land anyway. Not that risky, I don't think. Left hooks to the head work remarkably well against southpaws. That's what I found. Yeah. I used to hate fighting southpaws as a fighter, but I've never lost to one. You can get them with straight rights, but you can also get them left hooks. That's what I find. But yeah, they're difficult opponents for anybody. It's kind of it's a nightmare. So good luck with that.
And that's it. That's it, Billy. Episode 4 done and dusted. Flew by that one, didn't it? We're going to give a little shout out to friend of a show and listener, Ellie Scotney. I believe you and Ricky were her heroes growing up. She used to watch your body belt work and pad work.
All right.
And she's turning pro on a Sky show in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
so give her a
What's her
couple
name?
of shouts. Ellie Scotney.
Right. Well, Ellie, I'll be watching you fight on Sky.
So we're gathering quite a following now. People seem to enjoy it. So keep the questions coming in at preacherspod, preacherspod@gmail.com, or just message me, and we'll get them put to Billy. And we'll be back with episode 5 soon. So thanks for listening. For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro across the north, click and subscribe.
VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.